Hey guys, hope everybody had an amazing holiday. I wanted to share some steps that I do during my last 2 weeks, during my last couple of weeks during flower. So the first thing I do is I drop the humidity down below 45%. Then I use distilled water. If you don't want to use any synthetic stuff inside your flushing process, use distilled water to flush your soil. If it hasn't had any nutrients added to it, it absorbs the nutrients inside the soil. So I use that for my last 2 weeks, and it usually helps with the taste and everything else. But before the end of that 2 weeks, I let my soil completely dry out. So it helps with the plant not having a lot of excess water inside of it and the buds. It helps with the drying process. So I always let my soil dry out before I cut it completely down and before the lights turn on. Or if you're growing outside, you always want to cut your plant down before it's like afternoon during the heat, always in the morning. So I always cut down my plants before the sunlight gets to them. Another thing that I do is after I cut my plant down is I put it inside of a dark room, and that dark room is usually at about 45 to 50% humidity at about 72 to 75 degrees with a rotating fan. I don't usually ever put a direct, stream fan blasting on the plant. I usually hang it upside down inside of a dark room, rotating fan, and it usually goes for about a week to 2 weeks. But after that 2 weeks, I trim up my bud, and I put all my bud inside of a jar, and I put that jar inside of a dark space where it's kind of cool. And every couple of days, I open that jar and I burp it, and I do that for a few weeks to a month. And usually at the very end of that, I usually have some pretty good tasting bud. That's my technique. There's a bunch of techniques out there, but that's the best technique that I've used, that I've been taught. So I hope that helps you. Till next time, God bless.